the topic that is at hand today is states too can declare minority. So we all know the basic foundation of our constitution is secularism, and secularism entails the protection of minorities as well. But the very important contention that we face in our constitutional set of governance is that minorities have not been defined. What kind of population percentage or what kind, where the population percentage, like state wise होना चाहिए कि national wise होना चाहिए या किसी district wise होना चाहिए या कौन कौन से basis पे minority होनी चाहिए, that has not been clearly defined in the Constitution of India. Okay, there are only two kind of minorities that the Constitution prescribes. The first one is religious and the second one is linguistic. ठीक है, तो we are going to dwell in all of that in detail in this, that states too can declare. Basically there was a case in Supreme Court filed by some BJP member, I don't remember his name, Ashwini Upadhyay I believe. तो वहाँ पे problem contention ये था कि he is arguing that if why not the Hindus are minority in at least 7 states in India, like Goa, Manipur, Meghalaya, okay, Punjab. So Hindus are minority in that J&K. So Hindus are minority in all these states, but still they are not getting any benefit of that the minority community entails. Okay. So he says that despite being like majority in the whole country, they are minority in the respective states. Okay. So he argues that why not be they declared a minority in that respective state. Okay, so that is what we are going to deal with. So who are minorities? The first one is minorities had not been defined in the constitution. कि minorities का definition ना होने का meaning ये है कि minority is a numerical concept. ठीक है, कि आप इतने लोग हो तो आप minority हो, या आप इतने लोग हो तो आप majority हो. So minority has not been defined in the constitution. Only two kinds of minorities have been prescribed. The first one is linguistic and the second one is religious. Many minorities at national level or majority at the state levels. Okay, so states, many minorities at national level are majority in the state level. Like Christians are minority in the national level, but they are majority community in Meghalaya and many northeastern states. ठीक है, so who are minorities? States can declare minorities. The fundamental question that we are going to answer today is, can state declare minority? The answer is yes. So why not have states been declaring it? That's what we are going to look at. So why news? Because the central government, now that in response to that the Supreme Court में case file हुआ, Supreme Court sent a notice to central government कि can states declare minorities? So in reply to that notice, the central government has told the Supreme Court, where Hindus and other communities are not in majority, that states can declare those communities as minority in their respective states. This is what the whole news is. ठीक है, and this puts the onus on the states, है ना, कि states अब declare करेंगे अपने respective levels पे कि वहाँ पे कौन सी community minority है, कौन सी community minority नहीं है. Now, जब भी हम the usual process, what we do whenever we are taking an issue of polity, we are going through the constitutional provisions, statutory provisions, and that's what we are doing today. The constitutional provisions are Article 29 and Article 30. Protection of interest of minorities of Article 29 specifically is about minorities and the protection of interests. ठीक है, but यहाँ पे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की लैंग्वेज को समझना, बिकॉज ये जितने बड़े सारे केस होते हैं इन सुप्रीम कोर्ट, these are fought on the language of the constitution. The very first statement says any section of citizens residing in the territory of India or any part having a distinct language, script or culture. अब culture is not the defined thing, script is of course a defined thing, language is of course a defined thing. That means any section of citizens in India. यहाँ पे the constitution does not talk about religious or linguistic minorities. It says that any section of citizen residing in any part of the country, it can be a very specific small unit that is called a district also. Okay? If for example, if a very small community is residing in a district that has a very specific script of their own, okay, so they have the right to protect it, conserve it and promote it at the same. Promote is not provided in the constitution. They have right to protect and conserve it. That is their fundamental right under Article 29. That means any section of citizens residing in any part of the India having a distinct language, script and culture. Now language, script and culture is very important. Prelims में question आ सकता है इससे, ठीक है? Shall have the right to conserve and protect the same. ठीक है? तो ये तो हो गया positive right. The second one is no citizen shall, negative right. No citizen shall be denied admission into educational institution maintained by state or receiving aid from the state on the grounds only of religion, caste, language or any of them. This is a very this kind of protection कि किसी भी स्टेट, जो स्टेट का इंस्टीट्यूशन है, स्टेट का स्कूल है या स्टेट का कॉलेज है या स्टेट फंडेड स्कूल या कॉलेज है, वहां पे किसी प्रकार का डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं किया जा सकता है ऑन बेसिस ऑफ रिलीजन, रेस, कास्ट, लैंग्वेज या एनी ऑफ देम. बट मेरिट के बेस पे डिस्क्रिमिनेशन किया जा सकता है. ठीक है, तो ऑल एक्सक्लूजन इज नॉट डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. Merit, the exclusion based on merit is not an discrimination. That's what we can learn from here. ठीक है, but coming back to topic, no citizen shall be denied admission into any of educational institution which is run by state funds or which is run by state itself. But private institution or a minority institution, for example, can do the same. Okay. अब right to minorities, यहाँ पे इंटरेस्ट ऑफ प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ इंटरेस्ट ऑफ माइनॉरिटीज हो गया. आर्टिकल 30, राइट ऑफ माइनॉरिटीज टू एस्टैब्लिश एंड एडमिनिस्टर एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस. ठीक है, तो ऑल माइनॉरिटीज वेदर बेस्ड ऑन रिलीजन और लैंग्वेज, एज आई सेड, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन प्रोवाइड्स ओनली टू काइंड ऑफ माइनॉरिटीज. द फर्स्ट वन इज on the basis of religion, the second one is on the basis of language. ठीक है, shall have the right to establish, administer educational institutions of their own choice. ठीक है, any religious denomination like for example Muslims or Christians or Jains or Sikhs or Parsis or Hindus, but Hindus are not minorities at the national level, but the statement says that all minorities whether based on religion, but it does not talk about the geographical spread of the minorities. It does not talk about the fact कि Muslims are minorities in for example Rajasthan. ठीक है, तो but Muslims are majority in J&K, Hindus are majority in the whole of the country but they are minority in Punjab. So it does not talk about the geographical spread. Neither does the article restrict the minority definition of minority to geography. Okay, that means it can be interpreted that the constitution makers wanted to ensure the protection of minorities everywhere. Okay, not because of a minority on the geographical, like just because one community is majority in the whole country, it cannot be minority in, yeah, the vice versa is also true. ठीक है, the state shall not in granting aid to educational institution discriminate on the ground of against education on the ground that it is under the management of minority whether based on religion or language. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि the state while providing aid to educational institution shall not discriminate just on the basis कि एक institution एक minority institution है. That means a minority institution also has the right to receive funds from the state. Okay, the state shall not in granting aid to educational institutions discriminate against any educational institution on ground that it is under the management of minority. Okay, लेकिन एक बहुत ही important observation that I want to tell you here is that एक minority educational institution होने के लिए सबसे important है कि that it must not only be managed by minority, it must be founded by the minority. Okay, only it was a Supreme Court judgment. I do not remember exactly which case. I'll look up and tell you in a while. which Supreme Court judgment it was, that just because an institution, educational institution is being managed by minority does not make it a minority institution. It should also have been founded by the very same minority community. Okay. So these are the constitutional provisions. Interest of minorities, matlab any section of citizen can protect their language script, matlab, but that has been provided under the Article 29, which speaks of interest of minorities. That means any section of citizen can be termed minority. यहीं से infer किया जा सकता था. Okay. Issue क्या है? Where there are various pleas in high courts that have challenged the constitutional validity of Section 2 of National Commission on Minority Act. ठीक है, NCM Act का Section 2C says that the central government, Section 2C of the NCM Act says that the central government shall have the power to designate a minority community. ठीक है, तो इसी एक्ट को, इसी सेक्शन को चैलेंज किया है बहुत सारे हाई कोर्ट्स में कि why only the central government shall have the power and not the state governments. ठीक है, because this act exclusively empowers the central government to the exclusion of state governments. Okay, the constitution does not define the term minority but gives recognition to two kinds of minorities, that are linguistic and religious. The NCM Act gives the power to central government, that I already discussed. Now, the central government in 1993 defined basically identified 5 minority communities, basically religion, based on religion. Okay? The first was Sikhs, Buddhists, Muslims, Christians and Zoroastrians. In 2014, Jains were also added to the same. Jains were added to the same list. Okay? Again, I talked about all this. Ki there are various, like Hindus are minorities in 8 states, but they are not declared minorities, due to which they are not able to take any benefit of that the other minority communities are entailing. So but despite being the fact that they are minorities, they are not being they are not being availed the benefits of being the minority. Okay? That I already discussed. Okay, this is an important part. Supreme Court judgments. There have been three times assertion by the Supreme Court itself कि yes, the state can declare minority. The first was DAV College and versus State of Punjab. Arya Samaj is a denomination within the Hinduism. Okay, Arya Samaj is a denomination within the Hinduism, and since Arya Samaj is a major denomination basically based in Punjab. ठीक है, तो पंजाब में ये केस हुआ था. DAV कॉलेज, दयानंद एंग्लो वैदिक कॉलेज, these colleges are run by Arya Samajis. ठीक है, तो Arya Samaj was recognized as a denomination within Hinduism, and it was asserted by court that Arya Samaj is a minority community in the Punjab. Okay, and hence Hindus can be declared minorities in states even if they are majority in the country. It was a very famous DAV College versus State of Punjab case where Hindus were declared, Supreme Court allowed the Hindus to be declared minority in Punjab. उसके बाद आया था TMA Pai Foundation versus State of Karnataka. ठीक है, what constitutes a linguistic or religious minority should be, again the Supreme Court said that what constitutes as a linguistic or religious minority should be determined on the basis of state. Okay, तो यहाँ पे भी same judgment. उसके बाद बल पाटिल versus Union of India. Jains declared minority in 2014 and government subsequently added them into the list. Bal Patil versus Union of India, it was again the case for it was the case for recognition of Jains as minority community in India, and Supreme Court said yes, Jains are minority communities, and the government later added them into the list of minority communities in India. So I hope you understood कि minorities, the major takeaway from this is कि minorities, the first takeaway is कि the constitution does not define minority, but it gives recognition to the two kind of minorities. The first one is linguistic and the second one is religious. The third major takeaway from this whole minority discussion is कि despite being majority in the country, a community if minority in the state can be declared minority in that specific state. Okay, that means the unit for considering one community minority or majority should be state and not the whole country. Okay, and that has been asserted 3 times in 3 different cases. The first one DAV College, the second TMA Pi Foundation, and the third one Bal Patil. I hope you understood this. If you have any problems, any confusion, you can ask me in the comment section. I'm always available to help.